rain hammered the streets of Manhattan like 1,000 unspoken regrets, turning the neon glow of Times Square into a smeared watercolor of desperation. Alexander Hale gripped the steering wheel of his sleek black Audi, his knuckles white against the leather, as thunder cracked overhead like the fracture in his own chest. He shouldn't have come here tonight, not to his own empire, not when the boardroom battles had left him hollow, craving something real amid the empire of glass and greed. But hunger gnawed deeper than ambition, pulling him toward La Lumiere, the crown jewel of Hale Culinary Group, a French-inspired bistro he'd built from a single dingy kitchen in Brooklyn 15 years ago. Now, at 35, Alexander was the gay CEO whispered about in Forbes profiles, brilliant, untouchable, the man who turned farm to table into a billion-dollar verb. Yet tonight, he parked in the alley shadows, collar up against the downpour, slipping through the back door like a ghost haunting his own life. No fanfare, no sycophantic greetings from the staff who knew him as the visionary boss. Just a corner booth, anonymity in the crowd of power diners, and a simple order, the coco vin, his mother's recipe, the one dish that still tasted like home before it all soured. The waiter arrived like a soft interruption in the storm's symphony, a young man with curls that caught the low chandelier light like polished obsidian, eyes the color of aged whiskey, warm and steady. Elias Rivera, 28, moved with the grace of someone who'd danced through too many shifts on aching feet, his black vest hugging a frame lean from years of hustling tables and dreams deferred. Evening, sir. The special tonight, his voice was a gentle lilt, carrying the faint rhythm of his abuela's Puerto Rican lullabies, hidden beneath the polished cadence of a New Yorker who'd learned to code switch for tips. Alexander glanced up, caught off guard by the genuineness in that gaze. No deference, no calculation, just a quiet spark that pierced the fog of his exhaustion. Yeah, and a glass of the 18 Burgundy. Make it quick, he meant to sound brusque. The armor he'd worn since coming out at 22. When his father's law firm empire crumbled under homophobic headlines. But Elias only nodded, a small smile tugging his lips, as if he saw through the facade to the man beneath, the one who baked croissants at dawn in empty test kitchens to forget the loneliness. The food came swiftly, plated with the precision Alexander demanded from his chefs, tender chicken braised in red wine, pearl onions glistening like hidden jewels, a crusty baguette that steamed faintly in the humid air. He ate mechanically at first, fork piercing the richness, chasing solace in flavors he'd perfected but rarely savored. The restaurant hummed around him, laughter from a corner table of finance bros, the clink of crystal, the murmur of secrets shared over escargot. But as he lifted the plate to signal for the check, something fluttered free, a scrap of parchment, folded once, tucked beneath like a clandestine heartbeat. His breath hitched, unfolding it with fingers that trembled for the first time since the merger fallout last quarter. Alexander read the words in looping script, ink slightly smudged as if written in haste. You're more than the suit. Saw you in the kitchen last month, sleeves rolled up, laughing at a burnt souffle. Be real tonight. The world tilted. He scanned the room, pulse thundering louder than the rain outside. And there was Elias, wiping down the bar, stealing a glance that lingered too long, too loaded. Alexander's heart, that fortress of calculated risks, cracked open just a fraction. Who was this waiter, Bold enough to slip rebellion under fine china? And why did it feel like the first honest breath he'd taken in years? He should have stormed out, called security, preserved the distance that kept his world spinning. But instead, he waved Elias over, voice low as gravel. "You wrote this." Elias approached, cloth draped over his shoulder, cheeks flushing under the scrutiny, but eyes holding steady. "Guilty." Figure the big boss deserved a reminder he's human. A pause. Charged like the air before lightning. "Or maybe I just wanted to see if you'd notice." Alexander leaned back, studying him, the faint scar above Elias's left eyebrow from a childhood bike crash in the Bronx. The way his fingers twisted the hem of his apron, betraying nerves beneath the bravado. 28. He guessed. Old enough for scars, but young enough for fire. Risky move. "I could fire you for less." "You won't." Elias's smile was a dare. Soft edges sharpening into something electric. "Because deep down, you're tired of the game too." The words landed like a gut punch, echoing the void Alexander had numbed with board meetings and one-night stands that left him emptier. He gestured to the empty seat. "Sit." 10 minutes. "Tell me why." Elias hesitated, glancing at the clock, closing in 45 but slid in, knees brushing Alexander's under the tablecloth. A spark that neither acknowledged yet. "Grew up in a walk-up off Fordham Road. Abuela raising me after Mom split. She worked doubles at a diner. Taught me to cook with whatever was in the fridge. I came here 2 years ago because your places, they feel like possibility. Not just food. Stories." His voice dipped, vulnerability threading through. "Saw you once. Post-shift, alone with a whiskey. Looked like you were carrying the weight of it all. Thought maybe someone should say something real." Alexander swallowed, the note clutched in his fist like a lifeline. For the first time in months, the armor slipped. "Stories. Huh. Mine's mostly footnotes. Closeted kid in Connecticut's suburbs. Harvard MBA to prove I belonged. Built this chain to outrun the whispers. Gay CEO? It's a headline, not a life." He laughed bitterly, but Elias's hand, tentative, warm, brushed his on the table, stilling the tremor. "Then let's write a new chapter." Elias's eyes held galaxies of unspoken hurts. The ex who bailed when family found out. The side gigs modeling for art classes to pay NYU tuition he couldn't finish. But here, in this booth, walls down, they traded fragments, Alexander confessing the merger's toll, how it devoured his weekends and his capacity for connection. Elias sharing how La Lumiere's kitchen became his sanctuary, chopping mirepoix to the rhythm of reggaeton on hidden earbuds. The clock ticked mercilessly, but time bent around them, the rain a curtain sealing their world. When Elias stood, regret shadowing his features, Alexander caught his wrist. "Tomorrow. My office. 8 a.m. Not as the boss. As us." Elias's grin broke wide, illuminating the dim booth. "Deal. But only if you promise no suits. Jeans." Real talk, as Elias vanished into the kitchen's swing doors. Alexander pocketed the note, heart racing with a thrill he hadn't felt since first kisses stolen in dorm shadows. The storm outside raged on, but inside, something ignited a quiet revolution, one scribbled word at a time. Dawn crept over the skyline like a hesitant lover, painting the penthouse windows in hues of rose and gold. Alexander paced his Tribeca loft, the city's pulse thrumming below, mirroring the erratic beat in his chest. He'd arrived home after closing, the note burning a hole in his pocket, replaying Elias's touch, that unfiltered gaze. Sleep had evaded him, chased away by what-ifs. What if this was folly? A spark snuffed by his world's glare? What if it was salvation? The authenticity he'd bartered for success? By 7:45, he was at Hale Tower, the glass monolith that housed his empire. Elevator whisking him to the top floor, where floor-to-ceiling views mocked his isolation. No suit today, faded Levi's hugging his runner's build. A soft gray Henley revealing the tattoo on his collarbone. A small pride flag inked during a rebellious college night. Vulnerability suited him, he realized, staring at his reflection in the polished desk. The door buzzed. Elias stepped in, carrying 2 thermoses and a paper bag that smelled of fresh empanadas. His off-duty look transforming him, slim-fit chinos, a vintage band tee from a Queens flea market, sneakers scuffed from Subway sprints. Brought breakfast. Figured you'd skip it, Mr. Workaholic. Alexander chuckled, the sound foreign yet freeing, gesturing to the leather sofa overlooking the Hudson. Call me Alex. And yeah, guilty. Sit. Before the vultures descend, they unpacked on the coffee table, steaming café con leche, flaky pastries stuffed with spiced beef and plantains. Elias's abuela's recipe twisted with a French flair from La Lumiere's pantry raids. As they ate, conversation flowed like the river below, unhurried, laced with laughter that echoed off sterile walls. Elias spoke of his dreams, a food truck fusing Puerto Rican soul with bistro elegance, parked at pride festivals, feeding the overlooked. Not empires, he said, eyes sparkling, but heart. Like what you started with. Alex leaned in, drawn by the passion mirroring his own buried fire. I lost that somewhere. Chasing valuations, dodging scandals. Last Pride, I donated anonymously, couldn't face the crowd. The what-ifs of being seen. His voice cracked, hand finding Elias's knee. The contact grounding. Electric. You make me want to remember. Elias turned his palm up, fingers interlacing. Calluses from knife work rough against Alex's smoother skin. Then let's remember together. No cameras. No contracts. Just this. The kiss came naturally, inevitable as breath, soft at first, exploratory, tasting of coffee and courage. Elias's lips were warm, insistent, parting with a sigh that undid Alex completely. Hands roamed, Alex tracing the curve of Elias's jaw, Elias tugging at the Henley's hem, exposing skin that flushed under touch. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the city sprawling indifferent below. But reality intruded with a ping, the board's agenda email. Merger addendums glaring. Alex pulled back, guilt shadowing his eyes. I have a meeting. Investors breathing down my neck about expansion. Can't. Can't what? Be human for 5 minutes? Elias's tone sharpened, hurt flickering. I get it. Alex, you're the king. But kings fall alone. The word stung. Truth wrapped in barbs. Elias gathered the remnants. Shoulders tense, but pause at the door. Tonight. My place in Bushwick. No expectations. Just dinner. Say yes. Or this note was a mistake. Alex nodded, throat tight. Yes. Alone. He stared at the skyline, the note now taped to his monitor like a talisman. For the first time, ambition felt like chains, and love, like Elias's unyielding gaze, a key. Bushwick's streets pulsed with graffiti-splashed vitality. Warehouses reborn as lofts where artists and dreamers carved niches from concrete. Elias's apartment was a third-floor walk-up in a brick building that smelled of curry from neighbors and rain-damp stone. Worlds away from Alex's eyrie. He arrived at dusk, bottle of that 18 Burgundy in hand, nerves jangling like loose change. No driver tonight. He'd taken the L train, anonymous among strap hangers. The subway's sway mirroring his uncertainty. Elias buzzed him up, doors swinging open to chaos in the best way, pots simmering on a hot plate stove. Vinyl spinning Celia Cruz's sultry salsa. Windows cracked to let in the neighborhood's symphony of car horns and laughter. "Welcome to the real New York," Elias grinned, apron dusted with flour, taking the wine with a brush of fingers that lingered. Alex stepped in, shedding his coat, the space enveloping him, walls papered in faded floral, shelves crammed with cookbooks dog-eared from library loans. A pride flag draped like a tapestry over the fire escape view. "Smells like heaven." "What's the menu?" "Eras con gandals. Tostins. And a little something French I swiped from your kitchen Bible." Elias winked, stirring a pot of rice flecked with pigeon peas and sofrito, the aromas weaving spells of comfort. They moved in tandem, Alex chopping cilantro with clumsy enthusiasm, Elias guiding his hands, bodies brushing in the narrow galley, shoulder to hip, a dance of proximity that built tension like a slow boil. Over plates balanced on mismatched crates by the window, stories spilled freer than the wine. Elias confessed the ache of his coming out at 18. Abuela's rosary-clicking prayers turning to fierce hugs, but the street's cruelty lingering in barbs from old friends. Thought love was for storybooks. Then I saw you flawed, fierce, fighting the same ghosts. Alex shared fragments of his own scars. The lover who'd sold tabloid tales for a quick buck. The board members' veiled threats during Pride Month negotiations. Built walls higher than this city. But you slipped through with a damn note. His laugh was raw, hand covering Elias's across the table, thumb tracing knuckles. "Scary as hell. Good scary." Elias's voice was whisper soft. "Eyes searching." "The best." Alex rose, pulling him up. The kiss deeper now. Hungry. Bodies aligning in the lamplight's glow. Hands explored with reverence. Alex's fingers in Elias's curls, tugging gently. Elias's palms sliding under the Henley, mapping the ridges of Alex's abs. Earned from pre-dawn runs to outpaced outs. They tumbled to the futon, clothes shedding like old skins, skin to skin in a tangle of limbs and gasps. Elias's touch was worship, lips trailing fire down Alex's neck, hands coaxing moans from depths long silent. "You're beautiful," he murmured against collarbone, voice thick with awe. Alex arched, surrendering, whispering Elias's name like a prayer as pleasure crested, waves crashing in unison, leaving them breathless, entwined. After, in the quiet hush, heads on shared pillow, Elias traced lazy patterns on Alex's chest. "This doesn't have to end at dawn." Alex held him tighter, fear and hope warring. "It won't. But my world's crashing in, investors tomorrow. Decisions that could gut La Lumiere's soul for profits." Elias propped on elbow, gaze fierce. "Then fight for it. For us. Or what's any of it worth? The question echoed into the night, ceding resolve as rain pattered the pane once more. The boardroom Hale tower gleamed like a scalpel, mahogany table scarred from battles past. Projections flickering on screens with charts of projected yields and market dominances. Alexander sat at the head, tie knotted tight as his resolve. Elias's words a talisman in his breast pocket, a new note. Slipped under his door at dawn. Choose heart. The investors droned, silver-haired titans in Brioni suits. Voices clipped with entitlement. Expansion into Vegas. Alex. High rollers demand flash. Not your quaint farm-to-table shtick. Cut the Brooklyn outpost. Its bleeding sentiment. La Lumiere's original. Elias's sanctuary. Alex's fingers drummed the table, pulse sinking to the memory of last night's sighs. No. It's the soul of the brand. We adapt, not amputate. Murmurs rippled. A lead partner leaning forward, eyes narrowing. Soul, this is business. Or has that little? Indiscretion, last quarter softened you. The slur hung, veiled in finance jargon. But Alex heard the echo of old wounds, his sexuality a weapon in power plays. He stood, voice steel-wrapped thunder. Indiscretion? You mean my life? Hale Culinary thrives because of authenticity, not your cookie-cutter casinos. We expand on our terms, sustainable, inclusive. Or you walk. Silence crashed, chairs scraping as portfolios snapped shut. The lead stormed out, but two stayed, nodding approval. Bold. We back visionaries. Adrenaline surged as Alex exited, dialing Elias mid-stride. I did it. Told him to shove it. Laughter bubbled through the line. Knew you would. Meet me at the original. Kitchen. Now, Brooklyn's pulse hit different, brownstones whispering histories. The East River's lap like a lullaby. La Lumiere's flagship hummed pre-rush. Staff prepping in white coats. Knives flashing like silver poetry. Elias waited by the walk-in. Sleeves rolled. Forearms dusted with flour. Grin splitting wide as Alex burst in. You came. Elias pulled him into shadow. Kiss fierce. Flour smearing like war paint. Proud of you. Couldn't without you. Alex's hands framed his face. Thumbs brushing cheeks. But whispers are starting. Paparazzi sniff the boardwalk out. If they dig, let them. Elias's eyes blazed, hand pressing Alex's over his heart. I'm all in. Queens to penthouses. The door swung, head chef. Eyebrow arched. Boss. Trouble. Alex straightened, arm around Elias's waist. Public for the first time. No trouble. Elias, here's my secret ingredient. Literally, chuckles rippled. Acceptance blooming easy among the line cooks who'd long suspected the waiter's crushes. But outside, flashes popped, reporters circling like sharks. Ale, scandal with staff? Coming out again. Alex faced them. Elias at his side, hand clasped defiantly. Not scandal. Love. And you'll cover it right. Or Hale boycotts your rags. Headlines erupted by evening. CEO's culinary coup. Romance over riches. Backlash brewed. Tweets from bigots. Stock dips, but allies surged. Pride orgs praising. Customers flooding La Lumiere with rainbow flags on receipts. That night, in Alex's loft, they stood at the window. City lights a constellation of possibilities. Scared, Elias murmured. Back to Alex's chest. Terrified, but alive, Alex kissed his temple. You, same. But we rewrite the rules. Months blurred into a tapestry of stolen shifts and public stands. Elias's food truck launching at Chelsea Market. Alex's arm around him under spotlights. Joint interviews where vulnerability wove strength, turning whispers to roars of support. Challenges came, family estrangements, investor pullouts, a rival chain's smear campaign dredging old skeletons. But each storm they weathered together. Elias's notes evolving, tucked in lunchboxes, etched on menus, our stories just beginning. One crisp autumn eve, as leaves gilded Central Park, Alex knelt in the boathouse shadows. Ring glinting, a simple band etched with a tiny fork and note. Elias Rivera, you upended my world with ink and courage. Marry me? Build empires of heart. Tears traced Elias's laugh. Yes, tumbling free as they embraced. The park's lovers a chorus unspoken. Years on, La Lumiere thrived, a beacon of inclusion. Their tale etched in a cookbook's foreword, love's quiet rebellion. Serve hot.